café diak. No itabot sira curioso kay itabot sira pronto aturona se sound tirmai. Também dane sound nebe importante. Nebe se faz experiência direta Husi itania practitioner sira. Husi Myanmar, Bangkok, Indonesia inclui Conselho de Imprensa de Timor-Leste. So welcome back to this second session of the sharing experiences. We do hope that you all have a good coffee break. So now I would like to inform that in the sharing experiences, we'll be represented by Myanmar, Indonesia, Cebu, including the Press Council of Timor-Leste. So now I would like to invite Mr. Shavaron Limpatamapame, Chairman of National Press Council of Thailand. Please give a big round of applause. After the sharing experiences by Mr. Shavaron, there will be handing souvenir for the Press Council of Timor-Leste and Myanmar.
Good morning. You have my slide. Good morning, everyone. The President of Timor-Leste Press Council, friend from Myanmar, from the Philippines, from the AFJ and the UNESCO, and distinguished guests from Timor-Leste. First of all, I would like to thank the Timor-Leste Press Council to inviting me to join the Dili Dialogue Forum. So the first one, I think, is similar to every country in the world, including the Southeast Asian countries, which is the rise of the social media platform, which changed the media landscape. Media landscape is now that people no longer rely on the news from the mainstream media anymore, because especially the younger generation, they are more exposed to the social media. And in Thailand, social media, which is the most popular, which is Facebook, and we have Instagram, and Twitter, and now TikTok. TikTok, the Chinese platform. Okay, and now the global media platform share revenues from the traditional media, especially the print media. So that's why in the past few years, many newspapers, the printed newspaper has been closed down due to the disruption from the technology, from the social media platform. So, but hopefully we still have, at least about 10 national newspapers. And even though now also we have like 15 commercial free-to-air televisions, yeah, but the share of the revenue is not the same as it used to be. So the television in Thailand also struggle the same as newspapers to cope with their business. So the traditional media, not only the newspaper, but also the television and radios, and even the news websites, they have to transform themselves to digital media in order to survive to this global challenge. Next slide, please. Now I come to the local challenge to the Thai. We have, if you're following the news from Thailand, you know that we have a continuing political conflict. This is media platform. So we are struggling um, to make to make sure that the mainstream media is still professional and be trusted by the people. You know. So what is the main tool, the main thing that will make the mainstream media be trusted by the people is to follow the ethical standard. You know. So we now trying to implement the ethical standard along to all the media, you know, especially into when the mainstream media transform to digital media. We want to make sure that even though they use the social media platform, they will still follow the ethical standard. You know. And now, in the past few years, we are forced to have a media law to support the self-regulation, and but there's still a debating about whether we should have a media law to support the self-regulation. Just to clarify this, you know, if you listen from this morning that we have cooperation in the CPC-Net, the Southeast Asian Press Council Network, which has the 4 members, Indonesia, Timor-Leste, Myanmar, and Thailand. Thailand is the only country that the Press Council is not written in the law. You know, we don't have press law, so we are not supported by the government. So we don't get any single budget from the government. So we do our own fundraising. So if we have the media law, you know, and then we will have the budget from the fund that collect from the telecom company and the TV station through the National Broadcasting and Telecom Commission. So we hope to, if the law has passed, there will be more support to the media organization. But some young journalists, they think differently. They think that if the law come out, there will be the law to control the media and to control the freedom of the press, which is I'm personally one of the drafting member of this law. I can guarantee that the law is not to control, but is to promote the free expression and the code of conduct to the press. Next slide. So the role of the Press Council, you know. So we are now empowering the self-regulation system by creating a clearinghouse to handle complaints effectively. So in Thailand, the National Press Council of Thailand is not the only press council, because in the past, actually we are the first, because we are founded in 1997, and most of the member in the beginning is a newspaper. We just expand our membership to radio and television 3 years ago. You know, so before there's two press council that dealing with the broadcast media, which is the Thai New Broadcasting Council and the Professional of Broadcasting Council in Thailand. You know, so now the people are confusing, you know, on where to complain. You know, people don't know who is which television or which newspaper or website is member of which organization. They don't know who to complain. So we're creating the clearinghouse, you know, so people can complain at one-stop service, you know, and the trial process will normally done within 30 days after they submit the petition, the complaint to the coordinating committee of the 3. This idea is also endorsed by the National Broadcasting and Telecom commission where they, by law, they are supposed to what we call the co-regulation with the broadcasting media. So now they have endorsed this kind of process. So this is a new development of the self-regulation in Thailand. Last slide, please. Next slide, please. Okay, so the role of the National Press Council of Thailand. For our own Press Council, we have established the system of ombudsman in our member. You know, so we try to strengthening the ombudsman process to proactive the self-regulation system in our members. There was a case where that happened on the violation of the code of conduct by televisions. So it's come to the ombudsman as it's proof that the ombudsman system, the process is work in Thailand. So we also, the National Press Council of Thailand, as the longest press council in Thailand. So we are leading we are the leader of the 3 press council coordination. We have the longest experience in self-regulation. So we are also creating media monitoring system by working closely with the civil society organization. So it means that we don't have to wait for the complaint. Okay, we have the network where if they found that the newspapers, the television, or news online websites, you know, are violating the code of conduct, they can bring the case to the press council. And also, lastly, we are, you know, that's why I'm here. We are learning experience from press council in the region through the CPC net network. You know, so I learned. We have a bilateral relationship with the Timor-Leste Press Council, with the Myanmar Press Council, and the Indonesian Press Council. We exchange delegations. So, for example, we have we are studying the system from Indonesian Press Council, where they have like a course for professional journalists to take. You know, if they want to be consider professional media, you have to have your staff been go through the workshop, you know, supervised by the Indonesian Press Council. That is the system that we are studying from the Indonesia, and it could be implemented in Thailand later on. Thank you very much. This is the overall pictures of the media channel in Thailand.
So thank you very much, Mr. Shavaron Limpat Tamapanev, for sharing the experience. So before we are going to the next one, I would like to invite the chairman of Timor-Leste Press Council, Mr. Virgilio de Silva Guterres, to come forward. And Mr. Ayat Chan, you may come forward too, because now the Chairman National Press Council of Thailand will give the souvenir. Itanya Basa Liman. So Mr. Shavarong, Timor-Leste Press Council will give you as well. Itanya Basa Liman Makaslay. Dia kitanya Basa Liman lay. So that's all. Thank you very much. Now, we'd like to give the opportunity to Mr. Agun Dharmajaya, Vice Chairman of Indonesia Press Council, by virtual. Diag ba equipa sira, kare kita banyak kasi daw konekta, untuk kita continua lai. Okay, now I would like to invite Mr. Ayo Chang, International Affairs Myanmar Press Council. You may come forward. Take your time. Thank you.
Go out, probably I can't see my slides anymore. Actually, I wanted to go out. But, oh yeah, okay, I can see a bit. Okay, so now I will talk about the media challenges in Myanmar. At the same time, people want to know, what is really happening in Myanmar and the actual updates, because the whole world has been bombarded with so much fake news and all these things, right? So if you talk about one single media challenge in Myanmar, it's always about fake news, right? There's creation of fake news on the Facebook. Yeah, we'll talk about that a bit later on. Yeah, next slide, please. Okay, this is the sequence of things. I just a little bit updating on this, how the change of government comes about, right? People think that it's a military takeover from the military coup from the civilian administration who has legally won the election, yeah, which is really not true, yeah, and plus the terrorists that have terrorist activities that have been happening in the country. We have the complete statistics of 2021. And that's the third point is obviously my opinion, that I actually write an article on that, why the terrorists will not win. Yeah, the other one is the previous NLD administration is the party of the corrupt, with the facts to prove that. And plus the issues that have been exacerbating in the whole of Myanmar is the Facebook issue. Yeah, with the anonymity and this lack of accountability in the Facebook. Yeah, that's the issue. Sorry, the next one I cannot remember anymore. And the last one is the for better or for worse, which means how are we going to go forward? Okay, that's my agenda for today. Thank you. Next, please. Okay, events leading to the change of government. Right, I have provided you links where I actually wrote about all these things. Well, not I mean somebody from the Myanmar Insider. Yeah, the first question on everybody's mind that we have is, why doesn't the military negotiate with the Aung San Suu Kyi to have a peaceful resolution on Myanmar state of affairs? Right, that's the first question all the diplomats ask me. All the diplomats I have met, why they negotiate? Well, if you look at the fraud statistics, you will know why they don't negotiate. Can you click the link on the second fraud statistics, please? Can you click the link? No, not the click. You exit first. You exit the slideshow first. Then you click the link. Oh, shucks. Oh, that's the first one. First one doesn't show the statistics, only the second one will show. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is, yeah, there are major election frauds during the 2020 elections. Altogether, the number of fraudulent votes is nearly 12 million votes. Right, and the statistics is shown there in the statistics link. For example, there are more than nearly 300,000 people who voted more than 2 times. There are 20,000 people, more than 20,000 people over the age of 100 that has go to the voting booth to vote. If Myanmar has 20,000 people over the age of 100, do you know how much the whole world have the centenarians? The whole world only have like 500,000 people over the age of 100. If Myanmar have 20,000, Myanmar is having like nearly 5% of the whole world population of centenarians. Right? And Myanmar healthcare system is one of the worst in the world, sad to say. Yeah? How can we be having so many people over the age of 100? And there are so many people who voted below the age of 18 as well. Yeah? So altogether, there are more than 12 million fraudulent, there are more than 11 million fraudulent votes. That's a fact, and that has been audited as well. So what I'm trying to say is, so the voter fraud was suspected. There's a video evidence, there's people pointing that, okay, the old people, you stamp there, then that stamp is the NLD stamp, right? So there are so many evidence of voter fraud. So the military, as well as, at first not the military, first opposition party, the parties who, there are the 20, 30 of them, asked the election frauds to be investigated, right? But Aung San Suu Kyi and NLD, they refused to investigate. And they're to and fro. Then the military come and they ask the election frauds to be investigated again. So many letters, so many correspondence, so many public voicing of that. Until one fine day, until the 31st of January, when they totally continue to form the new government based on the fraudulent votes. So that's what actually happened. And on that day, the senior generals went to see her, and she refused to see them, and she asked one of her aides, one of the ministers, to tell them, either give me power or let the country disintegrate. It's up to you. So if you are in the other place, what would you have done? That's all I'm saying about the election fraud, and that's why the government, the current government, military, so-called, you call it whatever, they don't want to take over, they don't want to do that. At the same time, with NLD Party Elections Commission refusing to investigate the electoral frauds, they have no choice. That's the first thing that I want to mention. Yeah, and they have tried so many times, so many correspondence, so many letters, yet it was not investigated. Assuming that the president and I compete in the election, everybody likes the president more. I know that I'm going to lose, but if he cheated in the election, what do you think it should happen? You cheated. So that's a baseline. They cheated in the election, right? So what would you do if you cheat in the election? That has to be disqualified. I'm sure Timor will have better democracy than that, right? You will disqualify the cheat. Yeah, so that is the affair. That's why the so-called the coup or military takeover of that government happens. Yeah, so I don't want to be sounding so political about that, but that's a fact. Yeah, so the next please. So the statistics, and you can get the slides afterwards and get the statistics all over there. Now I don't know why it cannot be clicked. It cannot be clicked. Yeah, because last night I tried, it all works. Next please. Okay, so with NLD government being unable to take power, these people and their supporters, they try to turn into terrorist and destruction activities, starting with the CDM, Civil Disobedience Movement, and encouraging all the civil servants to make the government fall. So that they become eventually terrorists. They bomb the schools, they bomb the hospitals. Even last week, one terrorist group was caught trying to send a rocket to a children's hospital. Yeah, these are facts. Yeah, it can be verified at any point. I'll help you. I'll invite you to the country to verify if you want to do that. Yeah. So these are the terrorist statistics. How much they have killed, how many they destroyed, and how many monks they have killed. So that is the statistic. The links are already given there. Yeah, and the media in Myanmar, especially the media, the exile media, so-called. Previously, they are mainstream media. And they become exiled after the coup because they have contributed too much to the misinformation, disinformation on the platform. Yeah? So media has become a tool for terrorists. When these terrorists collect money or seek donations from the people, 20% of the donations have to go to that media. What is the purpose? For the media to create fake news. So that is the allocation of the funding. Yeah, this is not coming from me. This is coming from the capture terrorists themselves. Right, so current status, there are only a few underground cells in major cities, and their physical presence on the physical location is limited to 2 of the 15 states in Myanmar only. Myanmar got altogether 15 states. So altogether only 2 has some terrorist activities left. Obviously their underground cells still exist. Next please. Oh, this is my opinion piece that I've written on why these terrorists will not win. You know, I don't want to dwell on it so much, so you can just read it on the link itself. Yeah, because this is just a summary of the 10 points that I write up for you. Yeah. I don't know, maybe the what is it? The internet is not so fast. That's why. Okay, next please. Yeah, okay, talking about the corruption and the corruption of the previous government. Right now, statistics-wise, 90% of the ex-ministers from the NLD party in the previous administration, they are either being charged for corruption or in jail for corruption. Here, we are not talking about the offenses, political offenses, like you are not loyal to the state or you are trying to say something bad about the military or government. Corruption is the corruption as you and I know it. That's what being charged. It's about taking bribes and taking money. Yeah, so that's it. And the other 5% is on the run for forming part of the NUG terrorist group. Yeah, so it's just being factual. There's nothing, no opinion about that, right? So if you look at the previous administration prior to the NLD, there are about 2 ministers being charged for corruption. Now, under NLD administration, almost every minister is being charged for corruption. So that is a fact that is factual. Even the president and the state councillor, who is Aung San Suu Kyi, they've been charged for corruption as well, right? Taking bribes and taking gold bars, and etc. All these. Yeah, so these are the facts. Next, please. Okay, this is a Facebook. Yeah, because all these things, instability, terrorist activity, illegal fundraising, bond issuing, terrorists are issuing bonds to buy weapons, to make explosives, all these things. Yeah, all this take place over this beautiful Facebook platform. Yeah, so why? Because anonymity. Facebook allows anonymous posting, right? You don't have to disclose your name. You can write whatever you want. You can say that the president of our press council is whatever, because you don't know who is it, right? So you cannot, and some of that person who is writing about him is saying overseas, so the law cannot reach him. Yeah, so that type of thing. Oh, Myanmar is so big. Myanmar is at least 10, 20 times bigger than East Timor. So how to capture him? Yeah, so that's the one. Yeah, and some more, in Myanmar, when people talk about internet, people just mention the Facebook. Myanmar people don't know how to do the Google search and all these things. Facebook is the internet for them. Myanmar has like 25 million internet users, and we have like also 25 million Facebook accounts, as per the internet statistics. Yeah, so and Facebook, they have so many fake accounts also. Every person in Myanmar, you ask them, they at least have two accounts, Facebook. One for the actual accounts, and the other one for the fake accounts, where you can write whatever other things, other bullshit that you want to write. Yeah, so that's really damaging to the security of the nation and the state. And so that one, I want to highlight that. Yeah, no accountability, no responsibility, spreading political agenda and malicious lies. Yeah, and all the activity, just now she was asking, yeah, she was asking if Myanmar have illegal wildlife activities. In fact, I've interviewed the wildlife WWF people last month, and the wildlife, sale of illegal wildlife endangered species in Myanmar has increased by 75%. Illegal wildlife, endangered species. Why? Because of the platform. Because the sale of wildlife even reached to me now. Even you can buy tigers online. Yeah, why? Because of the platform. Previously, without the platform, how to buy a tiger? Yeah, now it's possible. Yeah, and the other one is the last point that I want to highlight is a blue tick is not a reliable source. In the Facebook, I'm sure you realize there's a thing called blue tick, right? A blue tick there. Yeah, blue tick is not really reliable. A lot of people who are encouraging terrorist activities are having blue ticks recognition in the Facebook. Just to give you an example, because we do keep track of the fake news on the Facebook, right? This is within 1 month alone. Yeah, within 1 month alone, these are the so-called the media that has been made illegal by the government, right? And then look at the proportion of the disinformation and fake news versus the actual news. And these media have millions of followings. So when you have millions of followings and people are not that educated, they can be influenced pretty easily. So that's the danger of this platform. Next. Okay, now because of this, what has happened to Myanmar? So that is oh, sorry, I cannot remember. Yeah? Because of the COVID, as well as because of this changeover of the government, takeover of the military, Myanmar economy is down by 20%. 20% is quite a lot in 2021. That's not my statistics. That's World Bank statistics. Yeah? And Kyat is depreciated. Kyat is a local currency here in Myanmar. Has depreciated more than 75% against the dollars. Yeah? Some of the MNCs has left because of the pressure from all these rights groups in the Facebook as well as other groups. And we are constantly facing the hyperinflationary risk, yeah, because of our depreciation of the kyat. And plus, a lot of Myanmar people, they have left the country, especially the brain drain, yeah. And plus, because of the factory, some MNC left. The higher unemployment rate within the country now, and plus our stock market activity has gone down by minus 80% during the last 1 year. So that is because of this changeover of the government. It happened. It's no good, but as I say, it is still our country, so it is our, we must make it work. Next slide, please. So, but now things are looking up 1.5 years later. Yeah, terrorism is down and tourism is up. Terrorists previously tend to be across the country, now only limited to 2 states now. Yeah, so they are almost gone. And tourism, last month alone, there are more than 10,000 tourists visiting Myanmar. So that is also not bad, going up. Yeah, divestments are down, companies leaving has gone down, but investments are coming up as well. And next one is the alternative allies and trade routes. Obviously, US and the West, yeah, and do not like Myanmar so much. Yeah, so they try to impose sanctions. Obviously, sanctions doesn't work. So we do find our friends, our allies. We have Russia, we have China, we have India, who are dealing with us on a very, on an increased level. Yeah, so they are helping us as well. So because of this, we found that's a positive note. And plus, more people are realizing that the social media is full of fake news, and these media are actually medias of fortune. You have heard of soldiers of fortune, right? Right, mercenaries, you pay money and you become soldiers. Right, so the media of fortune, you pay money and you write. They write whatever you like. Yeah, that's a media of fortune. Yeah, so the last point is, this year, our economy is expected to grow by 3 to 5%. That is also estimated by the international organization. Yeah, so things are a little bit looking out. Yeah, after 2021 years of way down. Yeah, now it's coming up a bit. Okay, I think the last slide already, I think. Oh, okay. So I am showing the fact that things are looking up not in terms of my assumption. Yeah, people say, hey, this is your assumption, this is not factual. No, I have done up the Google Analytics. Yeah, Google Analytics showing that there's a mobility movement. Yeah, from the government change until now. For example, this is a workplace, number of visitor workplace. This is all the demonstration taking place. This is the COVID third wave. And this is the Myanmar New Year, where the terrorists bomb everywhere. And now things are going up. This 0% is the pre-COVID level. Now we are better than the pre-COVID level. This is the Google mobility statistics, not what I did. This is a retail and recreation. This is a shopping and having fun, right? The first dip, demonstration. Second dip, COVID third wave, Omicron, I think. Yeah, this is a bombing campaign, and now Myanmar is there. Next slide. This is the same thing. These are parks and outdoor places. People are having more fun outside, right? So the first tip, second tip, and now people are going even more than the pre-COVID time to do outdoor activities. And the last point, transit. Transit is where train station, bus stations, and all these things. Again, the chart reflects that, but still, because terrorist bombing is targeted at all these bus stations and all these train stations, so they're still slightly below the pre-COVID levels. Yeah, so this is Google Analytics. And this is the last slide. Oh, people, can you go back a little bit? One slide. Yeah, this is the one I put from the Martin Luther King Jr. Yeah, the arc of moral universe is long, but at the end, it bends towards justice. Yeah, that's what we're going to have in Myanmar. Next, please. Okay, the last one is the last slide, last but not least. This is the, we train the public as well as the media people to be able to spot the fake news. Because sometimes, how do you know that the news is fake? Right, so this is the, if you have to be careful of these, to say that, to acknowledge the fake news. Normally fake news, the title is so long. And then there's no other information in addition to the title. They just write back the title. That's likely to be fake news. And plus, you got to verify the news from other sources. Secondly, so when somebody sharing this news, you got to ask yourself whether you're trying to prove yourself right by sharing that, or you're trying to educate someone around you, right? If you try to prove that, okay, so I told you so, that's why it happened, then it's likely to be fake news. Be skeptical when you see the certain news, right? Follow reliable media. Even reliable media such as BBC, RFA, their stuff may have ulterior motives, right? They may have standing on one side. So they may write down the factual-based news. Yeah, plus, you always have to check out the new producers or sharer. If they are anonymous, you cannot find their address, or you cannot find their telephone numbers, or you cannot find where they are from. They are likely to be fake news because they cannot stand the scrutiny. They cannot stand being challenged. Yeah, and plus you got to check out the citation and sources of the news. But that's it. Next, please. I think that's the end. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ayuchan. Could you please stand on the stage? Because the Timor-Leste Press Council will give you a gift, like a ties. So I'd like to invite Mr. Expedito, the member of Timor-Leste Press Council. Next, I would like to invite Mr. Ed Carlong Navarro, Cebu Citizen Press Council, for sharing the experiences.
Hello. I wasn't able to, I did not prepare a slide because the last time I prepared a slide, I took away all the time from the other speakers in 2018. So I promised myself never to do that anymore. At any rate, my name is Ed Carlon Navarro Rama. I come from Cebu, Philippines. Cebu, Philippines is like Dili. It is not very big, but not very small. It is not very populous, but not lonely. It has the highest number of Catholics in the entire Philippines, the percentage, I mean. And its language, just like Tetong, is highly inspired by another language. For Tetong, it's Portuguese. For Bisaya, my language, it is Spanish. So I would say that we are the Dili of the Philippines. Unlike the press councils of Indonesia, Thailand, Myanmar, we are considered a local press council. We do not get support from the government. We do not get funding from the government. We spend for our own, and if there are invitations like this one from Dili, because they cover the transportation, we are able to send a representative. In fact, flying here, I was asked by the Immigracy, can you present your ID? And the CCPC, the Cebu Citizens Press Council, is so small, we don't even bother issuing IDs for the 6 employees that are working in the council, myself included. So it is very small. The council was founded in 2001 and then took until 2005 to organize. Currently, it is registered as a non-stock, non-profit organization, meaning no funding coming from the government. And it has 5 members from the print media, 2 members from broadcast industry, 2 from the academe, and 6 from the public sector. It has 5 officers elected from among the council members. The executive director and the deputy, which is me, are appointed. We don't work for a salary. Unlike the press councils of other countries, we don't have police powers. We cannot punish or cite in contempt or correct by any legal means. We are basically an organization of journalists for journalists. We work for each other's benefit. We work for each other's protection. We work for each other's capacity enhancement. CCPC, yes, we accept and review and treat complaints from the public sector, but it is more of mushavara, discussion, not a penalty. We provide, for example, lawyers for journalists who are charged in court at no cost to them. We provide microfinancing for journalists. So if a journalist loses his job, he can borrow money from CCPC and start his own business and continue, if he can find another job in the media, he can return. But, if he can't, well, at least there is a little bit of money that we can lend him so he can start maybe a food business or whatever. We also have a trade publication called the Cebu Journalism and Journalists Magazine. It is where we talk about capacity building and capacity enhancement. We don't tell, oh, you improve your writing. We just write about how to improve your writing. And it's now up to you to read the story and be inspired to try out new things in order to uplift your own journalism practice. We have regular engagements with schools. Like I see right now, people are wearing uniforms, so I assume you come from university. So we have annual conversations where we talk about pressing issues with students and ask them, maybe they have solutions. You know, young people are very smart. They sometimes see what we cannot see. So we engage with the students. We also have the Cebu Media Medical Aid. So if a journalist gets sick and is not able to pay for his own hospitalization, or his media company is so small that they cannot afford hospitalization, we cater to the journalist. You know, so, and every year we have the Cebu Citizens Press Council. Similar to the Dili International Media Freedom Day in October? Is it October? Yeah, October. So we have it in September. And the reason why we have it in September is because it was the day that Marcos imposed martial law. And now we have a Marcos president. I don't know, to be honest, if we are allowed to do it. If we are allowed, I will live stream it so that we all can see. If we are not allowed, then you will know that we are not allowed because of the silence. So, you know, I reported here in Dili in 2018 the media challenges that we in Cebu face. I talked about social media and the internet and how it shrunk the market. You know, advertisers no longer go to the newspaper for ads. They just do it online in their social media. So we lose a lot of money. And since we are not supported by any government agency, we live off the contribution of individual members. Even us in CCPC, we are having a reduction in budget because the media institutions that are contributing for our operation simply cannot continue giving us part of their revenue. Newspapers help provide free content in order to remain relevant to readers. So you have newspapers, they have Facebook, they put news in Facebook. So nobody buys their newspaper anymore. They just wait for the Facebook version. There's, you know, audiences take pot shots of the media. There's harassment of journalists. There's demoralization and possible lack of interest by journalists and communication students to join the practice. So before, we have 20% of the university students joining the media, and they are the top one, the cum laude, magna cum laude, summa cum laude, the honor students. They all want to join the media. Now, because we cannot afford good salaries, they join call centers. And we are left with the students that the call centers cannot hire. So there's really a reduction in the quality of the news because of the kind of fresh writers that join us. Now there are new challenges. And it's just funny because we were not able to solve the old one. We now have new ones. So the media market continues the downturn due to the transfer of advertising to other media verticals. So ads now go to Facebook, they go to TikTok, they go to Instagram. They no longer go to the media, which is a carryover from my report last year. Now, there is the emergence of a better funded government media in the Philippines. There are currently 2 television stations that are owned by government and are funded by government. They are not worried about revenue. They are not worried about audience share because regardless of how many people follow their program, they get a budget every year of billions. Next is the erosion of public trust on media houses versus the government intrusions in media operation. A lot of people continue to attack members of the media, not just in Cebu, but in the entire Philippines. You have the unfortunate case of Maria Ressa, who is a Filipina journalist, the founder of Rappler, who, like our president here, is a Nobel Peace Prize laureate. And she was arrested, ordered, detained by the national government during the previous administration. Rappler, the news website, was divested of its Securities and Exchange Commission documents, meaning it was made illegal by the government by taking away the license that allowed it to operate, or the registration documents that allowed it to operate. We don't have media licensing in the Philippines. But the thing is, instead of talking about press freedom issues, what's coming out is, oh, here's Maria Ressa, she's so wonderful and good, and she's being attacked by the government. So what's happening is there is an emotional conversation, not an intellectual conversation about media issues. And I think right now, conversations should not be emotional. Conversation should be critical and truth-seeking. There is a media's inability to bridge the gap by making issues known instead of engaging in propaganda and counter-propaganda. And then there's the continuing rise of social media channels on FB and TikTok that offer embellished information. So these are the challenges that we encounter in Cebu. I suppose it is not very different from the challenges encountered in Dili, encountered in Yangon, encountered in Bangkok, encountered in Jakarta, and anywhere else and everywhere else in Southeast Asia. I'm very thankful that I get, despite the fact that we are such a small organization, we get to take part in conversations like this and perhaps find the solutions to our problems in your experiences. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ed Carlon Rama Navarone. So once again, we ask for your presence on the stage again. So now I would like to invite Mr. Benavides Correa, the member of the Timor-Leste Press Council. Please give our big round of applause. Because there is no information for the Vice Chairman, Indonesia Press Council by virtual, so now I would like to invite the Chairman of Timor-Leste Press Council, Mr. Virgilio da Silva Guterres, for sharing the experience.
Well, thank you once again. I don't think I will have some specific issues to share because what related to the challenge, media challenge in Timor-Leste, I think it's been very clearly explained by our President of the Republic, Dr. Ramos Horta, about the challenge in Timor-Leste. And also, I also don't want to take much time because I have my remarks in the opening. I will have another remarks in the closing, so I will not try to take this forum away from other speakers. But since here we have students and also other people interested in the new media, I just want to share what I try personally to understand this new revolution of information. Because my role as a chair of the press council, I was forced to read and also try to understand what the contents of what's the meaning of 4G, 3G, 2G, and then what's 5G, and also to trying to understand the different generations. We knew after the Second World War we have this Generation X Generation Y, Generation Z. Now we are on the Generation Alpha. Generation Alpha is the son and daughters of the Z generation. Z generation is what we call the millennials. So the millennials is past. Now we are in the alpha generation. Means that our kids, before they were born, their mothers and fathers already with the Android and laptops. So they already connected to the Android and laptop while they are still in the wombs of their mothers. And this alpha generation, they could not survive without network. They must get connected. They don't care if they lose their boyfriend or girlfriend. They don't care. What they care is if they lose the connection with the internet. They care too much. That's the generation alpha, one of the criteria. So here in this struggle, before the pandemic, on a visit to Portugal with friends in Portugal, I went to the library and I found a book. The big title is How Democracies Died. And by reading that book, the contents, you can understand, I can understand why Donald Trump came to power, why Duterte came to power, why Macron came to power. It's because the media, the social media, the presence of the online platform. So if in the past, in the generation X, Y, those who don't agree with democracy, they use the military, the coup d'etat to take over the power. Now, this generation, no more. They don't need military. They don't need tanks. They don't need guns to take over the power. They just need the media, the social media, the Twitter, the Facebook. That's why, you know, in this era, the politicians or the politics adopt the marketing theories, marketing formula to promote their ideas, what we now understand or we call it social marketing. So still with the same formula, P4. One P is the product. If in the past the product was produced in the factories, now the product is your idea. What idea? What innovative idea you want to present? The quality. In the past, the second P is price. What price? In this very, you know, the universe of, you know, consumers of information, what price you want to offer. In the past, we knew that there's introduction price or online price, now offline price, we have that. So you have product and you should have price. What price you want to add to that. And the third P is the promotion. How you promote your product. It's the same with the marketing theory in the past. And that's why I think in this aspect, Dili Dialogue Forum, we need to promote more in the future to have more people to come. So the promotion. And the last P is the place. You have a good product, a good price, and also a good promotion. But if you don't find a good place to sell your product, then it's come out with a bad result. So that was the challenge that we are facing. So I'm asking friends to present what I am on now. So I read that book. I see that now in this new era of digital, we don't need tanks, guns, or militaries to take over the power to rule. It depends on how you select, dominate, and use your equipment, your Android, your smartphone. I don't know why the producers or the innovators of this Android, they call it a smartphone. Sometimes I'm thinking that they are willing to create an irony that with the smartphone, then those who hold a smartphone will never be smart enough. Because if someone asks you 15 times 15, you need the calculator to come to the result. If you compare with your fathers in the past, it's, they call it in Bahasa Indonesia, di luar kepala. But now is the opposite. Kepala di luar. Our head is no longer, still there, but our brain is on the smartphones. So this is the challenge. And weeks ago in Jakarta, visiting Jakarta, again on the way back in Bali, I went to